In all honesty, I don't think America's ever been not on the international stage. It's under Trump, he basically just had a different agenda in terms of how things would be applied. Biden is trying to take an approach which combines the more traditional line that he had with Obama, as well as under what we see under Trump. Above all, though, what we're seeing is that America comes first.
Biden's tone was America is going to work with its partners and its allies to build a better world. He pledged cooperation with allies through what he called a decisive decade for our world. I wonder, how is this going to be received by some allies? I'm thinking particularly of the French, who might be feeling pretty bruised at the moment from that AUKUS deal.
I think the key thing we need to understand is that under Biden's presidency, there's been a lot of inconsistency. So when he came onto the stage, when he was anointed as the president for the United States, the first thing we saw was the G7 and the NATO meetings in June. And what it was calling for was collaboration and cooperation, really big, grand plans, part of the Build Back Better World kind of motto that he talked about today. But those were very short-lived. So the extent to which we can actually see this approach that Biden's talking about, a decisive new decade for our world, and how he will work with partners and allies in rebuilding these relationships, is really to be questioned, particularly given the AUKUS deal.
He also talked about the US withdrawal from Afghanistan. I wonder, do you think he managed to move beyond that rather chaotic US exit from Afghanistan with this speech? Has this speech put clear blue water between those times?
Not at all. While he does declare that military will be the last resort, he has not distanced himself significantly from the kind of dominant hard power kind of line that he has taken. If we look at what he said about North Korea, if we look at what he said about Iran, and most significantly when he talks about cyber and technology, really America's interest is combining what would be hard power and soft power as a means of developing new international standards, which America will lead in its efforts to maintain its position at the head of the table for the international system.
And he talked about global trade. He talked about pursuing new rules of global trade and economic growth. What did he mean by that?
Well, new rules would ultimately mean the current system as we have it is how China, what is basically considered America's main kind of challenger on the international stage, has grown economically, grown politically, grown diplomatically. So new rules need to be established in order for America to reassert its position. But throughout Biden's speech, he challenged he raised points and challenged the lines about basically how certain players on the international stage didn't follow trade rules, trade regulations, issues of international intellectual property rights, etc. And so we know with that he's directly commenting on China's position and China's behavior. So these new rules will automatically be new rules set again by America, led by America, and as long as the trade works according to America's priorities, this is basically what we're talking about in terms of a potential new trade regime.
Winnie King at the University of Bristol, thank you very much.
Thank you.